Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be looking at the latest polling and polling averages out of every single of the competitive states. Now before we get started with the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below. And so the first state we're going to be looking at is Alaska. The latest poll currently has the state at a 12-point margin. In the latest poll, you could see in the second poll was also 12, both likely voter samples. And if you look here, you can also see third-party matchup with Kennedy in it. It'll show Trump up by 8 points. So if you were to basically average this out, it would end up being around a 10-point win or so, which actually puts the state of Alaska in the safe Republican column. For reference, I am using plus 10 as the safe margin from now on, as I feel like it's more accurate when assessing these presidential elections. The next state I'm going to be looking at is the state of Nevada. So if you scroll down to Nevada right here, you're going to see that the polling average currently has the state at 4.9 percentage points. It was originally 6.4, but I believe there's a new poll out of here. Yeah, it's the Emerson College poll, I believe, through the aggregate, into a frenzy here. And so the polling average is now below 5 points, and that puts the state right below the likely column and into the lean column for this video. The next state is going to be the state of Arizona, where Donald Trump enjoys a 3.2 lead in the popular vote in the state. If we look here, we could see the latest Emerson College poll has him up 3 points, and Trump has led quite consistently in the state for the past couple of months. That puts the state in the leaner Republican column for Donald Trump. If we go to Colorado, which is the next state we're going to be looking at, you can see that Joe Biden, there is no aggregate, but Biden enjoys a 10-point lead in the latest March poll that was added into the aggregate. However, you look at previous polls, they are a lot closer than originally, than 2020, for example. Even this January poll is only Biden plus 6. So you're to average this out, I'd say it's probably Biden plus 7 plus 8. So that puts the state in the likely Democratic column for the incumbent president. New Mexico is also interesting because for whatever reason, the polling tends to underestimate Trump a little bit more here. The latest poll has Trump up 8 points, then 11, then 10. So if you get to average this out, it'd be over a 10-point victory. So it actually puts New Mexico in the safe Democratic column for the video. However, I do expect New Mexico to vote to the left of Colorado. However, if Kennedy does draw a very big third-party vote share this cycle, there is a possibility that Colorado could vote very slightly to the right of New Mexico this time. The next state we're going to be looking at is the state of Texas, where Trump enjoys a 9.9 lead in the aggregate, which puts the state in the likely column for Donald Trump. If we were to go to the next state, which is the state of Iowa, we'll see that the latest poll has him at 15, then 9, and 12. So that puts the state easily in the safe Republican column for this video. The next state is Minnesota, which has been reliably Democratic since 1972. But as you can see out of the latest poll, Biden's up 2 points, then an 8-point lead, and then a 4-point lead. 3-3, so the state average is more than likely under 5 points. That puts the state in the lean Democratic column. The next state we're going to be looking at is the state of Illinois, which is interesting because it's usually deep blue. However, latest polls have the state, basically under a 17-point win from 2020. However, the average does kind of average out over a 10-point win, so it is still in the safe Democratic column. If we look at the state of Ohio, we'll see that Donald Trump enjoys a 9.6 percentage point lead in the aggregate, putting the state right below the safe column for this video and into the likely column for the former president. If we go to Florida, you can see that Florida, has been, kind of a swing state for the past few cycles, but has become reliably Republican to the point where the polling aggregate has Trump up 10 points on Joe Biden, and that puts the state in the safe Republican column for this video, which is really fascinating that, in 2020, a lot of people had this leaning Democratic or tilt R, and now it's considered to be one of the safest states approaching 2024. The next state we're going to be looking at is the state of Virginia. If we go ahead and look at the Virginia average, usually reliably Democratic now. However, the latest poll has Biden up only 5, then 4, then 3, then 3, then 4. So this will average out below 5 points, and that puts the state in the lean Democratic column for Joe Biden. The next state we're going to be looking at is the state of New York, which is an interesting one because, again, this is a deep Democratic state that actually has the race within a couple points, not 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 12, 10, 10. This averages out probably around a 10-point win or so, maybe below or a little bit higher than that. But I'd say it probably averages out right above 10 points, and that puts the state in the safe column. But it is significantly closer than it would have been in 2020, which was a 3-point, I believe it was a 23-point victory for the incumbent president. The next state is the state of New Jersey, where we only have one poll out of, but the poll only has Biden up 5 points, and that puts the state in the likely Democratic column for this election. New Hampshire is also interesting because the state actually has Biden leading by quite a bit, in some of the earlier polls. However, in the latest poll out of the state, Biden was only leading by 3, so I'd suggest that they'd probably start polling here again, because I feel like they are going to see a big shift there. I'd say the polling average probably averages out roughly. It's probably right above the 5-point mark. The average kind of rounds out to. And if we go to Maine, what's funny about Maine is that Maine actually is in Trump's column, according to the polling data. Trump is up 6 points in the latest poll from February. Then we had this October poll that only had Biden up by 1 point. And so if you were to average this out, it would basically put Trump at like a lean margin of victory, and Maine's second would be over 10 points. Maine's first would still be over 10 points. You see plus 16, that averages out roughly around 12, 13 points or so. So that puts the state right about in the safe column, or at least that district. But the state at large actually leans in Trump's column when you average out the results. Nebraska is second. The state is expected to go to Trump by a pretty decent amount. If we go to the average here, I believe they don't have any new polling. Actually, they do have new polls. Trump is up 18 points, and in 2020, he won the state at large by 19. So I'd say based off that estimate, more than likely Nebraska second would still be a likely Democratic district. However, I do expect Nebraska to vote to the right, compared to that poll by quite a few points. I actually expect it to be a 23, 24-point win. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to have to put Nebraska second at a likely margin. The next state we're going to be looking at is the state of Georgia, which Donald Trump lost in the last cycle due to high African-American turnout. And Trump's actually up here by 5.8 percentage points. It's actually a likely margin for him. It's actually, the polling average is higher than his 2016 victory was, which was a 5.1 percentage point victory. The latest poll with third parties has him up 6 points. The two-way race has him up only 2 points in the race. And so he is performing quite well here with the third-party candidates included. And if we go to the state of North Carolina, I don't expect this to be anything but a massive victory for the former president. He's up here by 6.3%, again, putting the state in the likely column for the former president. And if we go to Wisconsin, which is the first Rust Belt state of the entire cycle that we have covered in this video, Trump is up by a comfortable 2.6 percentage points. Actually, yeah, he's up by 2.6 percentage points, putting the state in the lean column for him, which is pretty interesting. He's polling pretty well here, actually. According to this, the polling aggregate was looking slightly better for him before, but he is definitely catching back up. And if we go to Michigan, which is the next Rust Belt state, Trump is actually leading here by 1.2%. Really due to African-American turnout, Biden was able to win here pretty easily. And, the people he kind of bailed out in the automotive industry in 2008, that really helped him there. However, because I feel like he's lost a lot of that support in places like Dearborn are really conflict about the whole Israel-Palestine conflict, I think that this state's aggregate is pretty accurate for the most part. And if we go to the state of Pennsylvania, which is the final state for this video, Trump is up by 1.8%. The aggregates for the Rust Belt actually kind of make sense. And even the 538 aggregates make a lot of sense. He's up by 2.6 here. He's up in Michigan in the lowest amount in all of the states, which would make sense because usually Michigan tends to vote to the left of the Rust Belt states. And then Pennsylvania is kind of in between Wisconsin and Michigan. So these aggregates make a lot more sense than the RCP aggregates. And so according to 538's latest polling averages and polls, this is where the election currently sits. Donald Trump sits at 314 electoral college votes to Joe Biden's 224 electoral college votes. Now, if you guys did enjoy the video, please hit that like button, subscribe, make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss another video that I post, and make sure to follow the Twitter and join the Discord in the description down below, and I will see you guys very, very soon.